How's it going, guys? My name is Dime, and I've put together a killer guide that hopefully covers all that you need to know about playing the Demogorgon. So first off, I'd like to start with a disclaimer. I by no means consider myself to be amongst the top players of DBD. I do, however, remain killer and I play a majority of my matches at red rank. So I feel I have a fairly good understanding of how the average red rank match plays out. So this guide is tailored more towards players looking to progress through the ranks or even just learn a few things about this character. I'm choosing to do the Demogorgon first because Behavior is losing the license to the Stranger Things IP. On November 17th, all Stranger Things DLC will no longer be available for purchase, though if you do snag up this DLC, you'll still have access to all the characters and perks, as the only thing being removed from the game is the Hawking's Laboratory map. Let's get started. The Demogorgon, like most killers, has 3 abilities: the basic attack, special attack, and a power. But let's start with the basics. His normal movement speed is 115%, which is the same as most killers and usually fine to just hold forward against survivors. Next is power of the Abyss. This has 6 charges by default, and it allows the Demogorgon to place points of travel around the map. These points act like wormholes, in which they require at least 2 on the field in order to travel between them. Survivors are able to interact with these portals to remove them. These portals have 2 states: white for inactive and yellow for active. White portals do not provide any additional information. They can't be cleansed by survivors and really only allow you to travel to or from them, at which point they become yellow active portals. Yellow portals provide the Demogorgon with killer instinct, which, if you don't know, is like a heartbeat sensor. If a survivor steps near a portal, killer instinct goes off, and the killer now has information of where and possibly how many survivors are near his portal. Though, in order for this to provide passive information, the demo must have the notable Lifeguard Whistle app. Otherwise, the demo must be holding their special attack down. Now, the special attack, Shred, in my opinion, is the demo's bread and butter.
I'm your bread and butter man.
It's the best thing they got going for him. Aside from giving killer instinct information, what it does is allow him to charge up a lunge, which will launch them forward 11 meters. If this attack is not held long enough, they will only lunge around 7 meters, same as a basic attack lunge. There are a few other things to note about the Demogorgon kit. The Demogorgon's terror radius is 32 meters. When survivors are cleansing or standing on top of one of your portals, they suffer from the Oblivious status effect, which removes your terror radius from them. This can allow for some cheeky hits if the survivor is not paying attention. While you're holding down Shred, your movement speed is slowed to 96%, down from 115. You don't usually want to hold this in a chase. Your portal's range to detect survivors is only 4 meters. It's just food for thought when placing these near gens. After you emerge from a portal, you have undetectable for 3 seconds. Not too useful, but it's helped me get a jump on survivors, and it's good to know it exists. It takes 10 seconds after using a portal in order to use another one. A common strategy for survivors is to cleanse your portal as soon as you take it. But no, it takes a single survivor 12 seconds to cleanse a portal, so you may be able to port back. Alright, so let's talk about putting this information to use. When starting a match, Demogorgon generally plays a little differently. Usually you want to begin making your way to the survivors and start disrupting as soon as possible. But with Demogorgon, you might want to invest the first few moments of the match placing portals. I'll usually look for the closest generators and set up 2 portals and travel between them to activate them quickly. Taking add-ons like Lipros Lichen paired with Lifeguard Whistle is great for this. It allows you to see the survivors for a moment and alert you if they come close. I'll continue placing portal locations for a few other nearby gens while the perk Corrupt Intervention is still doing its thing. This gives me the time to set up and pushes the survivors to my side of the map. Bringing hex totems is a viable option, and it's not a bad idea to set up a portal near your totem. Once I'm set up with 3 to 4 portals, I'll start hunting. Ideally, I want to get a hook before Corrupt Intervention is finished. If I pull this off, I know I have a pretty decent lead on the survivors. As the match goes on, I think about what generators I'm willing to let go first. Getting to a point in the match where you can defend 3 or 4 generators that are kind of around the same area is what you want to aim for. Demogorgon can sort of do this better than other killers because of his portal's ability to zone survivors. Pairing this playstyle with perks like Ruin or Pop Goes the Weasel can force survivors to outright abandon generators. As you play through the match, very likely you'll be pulled to loops, where survival will run you and waste as much of your time as they can while the other 2 to 3 work on generators. Now I say 2 to 3 because it's a common strategy for one of the other survivors to babysit whoever is running the killer. They'll stand by waiting for the right moment to get a flashlight save, protection hit, or pallet drop. So truth be told, the time you spend chasing survivors before hooking them is the ultimate determining factor of the outcome of the match. So it's very important for you to pay attention to the skill of the survivor, if they have a babysitter, and what is near them for loops and where other survivors might be. Committing to a chase that is going to pull you clear across the map, where they're going to loop you 3 times around Killer Shack, then get a flashlight save, can cost you the match. So how does Demogorgon minimize this? A combination of his special ability, perks, and possible add-ons. Let's talk about Shred. In a straight shot, it's great to charge Shred as bait. Very often, survivors will start strafing side to side once they see you're charging Shred. Don't unleash it. If you miss it, it'll cost you. Simply walk up to them and just basic attack. Side strafing slows them down tremendously so you can catch up. In loops with windows and medium to large walls, it's great to land on survivors when rounding corners. It's hard to tell you're charging it when just emerging from line of sight, and you'll often catch survivors off guard. When a survivor gets to a pallet, just send it. Best case scenario, you land the hit. Worst case, you get a fast pallet break. On tight loops, this can be a lot more difficult. I find it's usually better to just hold forward on survivors, force the pallet drop, break it, and move on. So it all depends on the circumstance of the situation. I'd also like to mention what counters Demogorgon. It's good to know weaknesses so you can take extra efforts to try and prevent it. Your portals being cleansed is big. If you struggle to maintain your ability to harass gens, the survivors will get ahead. Perks. Where the Demogorgon's kit doesn't come with an instant down, he's not exactly the most efficient killer. This leaves us wanting certain perks to help round him off. Let's pump through some of his best perks quickly. Barbecue and Chili. Great perk and great on most killers. Lets you see survivor orders after 40 meters out, gives you good information to make plays off of. Also, bonus gains to blood points, so it's like the best perk to get more perks. Save the best for last. Very interesting and fun perk to play. Honestly, one of my favorites. Every time you hit a survivor that's not the obsession, gain a stack worth 5% haste to basic melee swings. So at max 40%, which is actually insane for basic attack killers. This allows you to get a hit, and then within seconds, you get a hit again because the survivor hasn't gotten further enough away due to how fast the recovery is. This helps end chases very fast. It's like a pseudo exposed effect. So good. Just be careful running this at rank 1 or 2. It's very punishing. Pop Goes the Weasel. Again, great for many killers. Hook someone, kick a gen within 45 seconds, it instantly loses 25% progress. If you have to, you can use your portals to get the further away gens very quickly. Just strong synergy with the Demogorgon. Corrupt Intervention. Helps slow the game down right at the start so that you can get set up. In my opinion, this is kind of a must for demo, but that's just how I play them. Tinkerer. Another popular perk, be alerted when a gen is at 70% progress and gain undetectable. It has cool synergy with the demo. A lot of survivors are only listening for when nearby portals start bubbling or your terror radius comes in. Undetectable is huge for getting the drop on survivors that aren't expecting you to walk up on them. Also go for the grab if you can help it. Hex Devour Hope. Fairly decent perk, though hard to run versus seasoned survivors. Gain stacks after hooks, 2 stacks gain temporary haste, 3 stacks everyone is exposed, 5 stacks you can kill whoever you down. Helps you make up for the demo's lack of insta downing after 3rd stack. Would highly recommend only running when paired with either Haunted Ground or Undying. Make your choice. Another exposed rewarding perk. Similar in ways to Devour Hope, but it's not tied to a totem. Don't face camp your hook and be rewarded. The survivor that unhooks gains exposed for up to a minute as long as you're 32 meters away. I can see some decent synergy if you place your portals near your hooks. Discordance. Any generators being worked on by multiple survivors glow yellow. Good information to help harass multiple survivors. Hex Ruin. Again, a popular hex perk that suffers from the same problems as Devour Hope. Any generator that's not being worked on begins losing progress. If left unchecked, generator regression is actually insane, and you never need to kick, saving a ton of time. Might be better viewing this perk in the same light as Corrupt Intervention. Strong, though temporary slowdown. Pair it with Haunted Ground or Undying, otherwise it's possible it can be cleansed in the first 10 seconds if you have bad RNG. Nurses. A fair perk. Highly recommended, only running at rank 3. Lets you see auras of healing survivors. Often with demo, you'll be bailing on bad chases to zone gens. This is when survivors start healing. You may be able to catch them, especially with undetectable. The problem I find with nurses is your terror radius is 32 meters, and nurses only works within 28 at best. Often they'll hear you coming, but it's information to help keep you pressuring them. Surveillance. Information perk, held in the same light as Discordance and Tinkerer. Regressing gens are highlighted white. If regression is interrupted, it becomes yellow, letting you know a survivor is there. Only lasts up to 16 seconds. Only works once regression begins, so you would have had to harass the gen prior, unlike Discordance or Tinkerer. Enduring. Remember how I was talking about those tight loops? This can help shave some time, reduce the duration of pallet stuns up to 50%. It's a fair perk and a viable option. And as I mentioned already, Hex Undying. Again, pair this with Devour Hope or Ruin to keep them in play for longer. It also comes with some aura reading capabilities when survivors are near any dull totem. Only 4 meters and does not include your Hex totems. Let's talk about the demo's own perks. Unfortunately, all of these are considered less effective than the perks I've already mentioned. Surge. Easily is best. When you get it down, nearby gens up to 32 meters will pop for 8% and begin regressing. It does have a cooldown, so no synergy with slugging. Should be viewed in the same light as Pop Goes the Weasel or Ruin. Pop is his best gen regression perk and does not synergize with this perk, because any gen already regressing can't be kicked. Ruin is okay to pair with, as this will still drop the gen 8%, but putting it into the regress state is a redundancy. Cruel limits. When a generator is repaired, all vault and windows within 32 meters are blocked for 30 seconds. Kinda trash. The condition is a bit awkward as it needs to be a gen completion. The distance is laughable and it might affect 1 or 2 vault locations, and it only lasts for 30 seconds. If this was literally doubled in all aspects, say 64 meter range, and lasts for a minute, it still wouldn't be S tier. It needs a rework in my opinion. Mindbreaker. Fairly lackluster. While repairing a generator, the survivor's exhausted recovery is paused, and for 5 seconds after leaving the gen, they still suffer from exhausted. Sounds good on paper, considering the number of players that use Dead Hard and Sprint Burst. The paused recovery part is okay, but the 5 seconds after stopping repair is weak. Double it to 10 or even 15 seconds and maybe it'll feel effective. Honestly, reworking it as a Hex totem that just gave exhausted until cleanse might be better. Unreleased perks. At the time of this video, Pinhead still hasn't been released, but I want to talk about his perks because there isn't a lot of opinions about them yet, especially for Demogorgon. Deadlock. After a survivor repairs a generator, the next highest progress gen will be blocked for 20 seconds. Truthfully, not bad. It snowballs as the match progresses, but honestly, 20 seconds doesn't feel long enough to really matter. Probably effective against teams that split up and they all do solo gens. You know those games where you chase someone for about a minute and a half, then 3 gens pop one right after the next? It would slow that down a bit, maybe give you time to use pop on one of them. Situation is a bit niche. Hex Plaything. Another Hex totem. Sort of. It's interesting. The first survivor you hook gains Oblivious until a totem that only he can cleanse is cleansed. One of your dull totems becomes this totem. After 90 seconds, any survivor can cleanse this. Ultimately, this is a slowdown perk that kind of incentivizes tunneling. It's good and should see play, but I don't think it will necessarily replace any of his best perks. Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. Scourge Hook seems like a new type of perk similar to Hex. Start the match with 4 random hooks being highlighted white. After a survivor is unhooked from one of these, they are under the conditions of the perk Sloppy Butcher. So slower healing, more bleeding. Once they are fully healed, they have a 9% penalty to performing actions until they are injured again. So 2 parts here. They don't heal and you can one-hit them, which is great, or they do heal and now they have to deal with slow progress. It's actually a win-win. This honestly seems like a fairly solid perk, especially if you're hooking everyone. Good slowdown potential, definitely will see play. So I don't really want to deep dive into add-ons as there are 20 to consider, and the average player will not be running the same add-ons every match. Though I would like to talk about a few that are worth going out of your way to get. Lifeguard Whistle. This purple add-on I think is amazing as a standalone. Absolutely never a bad pick, and it gets even better when you pair it with Lip Rose Lichen. I've already mentioned this combo before. An iridescent add-on, the idea is you'll almost always know where survivors are. And if you keep your downtime looking for survivors to a minimum, it greatly increases your chances of winning. Aside from these, the vast majority of the add-ons only really provide numerical enhancements, like takes longer to cleanse portals or faster traveling speed. So nothing super interesting, though they play their part. As I said before, the average player will not be running the same add-ons every match. Play around with what you have available to you. So that's pretty much it. Everything I know and feel is worth knowing about this killer. If there's anything you think I missed, please feel free to tell me in the comments. If you like this guide, please hit the like and subscribe to my channel. I'm still trying to grow, and I very much appreciate all and any support that I get. Again, my name is Dime, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.